Hi guys, and welcome to the second episode of the web development series. So in this episode we're going to focus on HTML. So we're going to start building the Netflix landing page, but we're only going to focus on the HTML side of things. So this is the landing page we're going to build if you haven't watched the previous video. So we're going to build everything that you're looking at right now. So let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need to have, like I said, is a code editor. So I already have Visual Studio Code downloaded. So right now I assume everyone has already installed Visual Studio Code. So the first thing we're gonna need to do is to create a folder. So we've created a folder. So I've already created a folder and named it Netflix. So just create a folder and call that Netflix. Then inside this folder, I have another folder which is called img, which stands for image. So it's just an abbreviation. So just create that folder as well. Then inside this folder, each folder, I have 4 images that are downloaded from the Netflix landing page. So to download these images as well, just right click anywhere where the image is, then click on save image as if you're using Microsoft Edge, and I believe the same option will be available if you're using Chrome. So just go to this specific image on the landing page, right click save image as, then save the image. Then you can go on this image as well, click save image as, then on this other one do the same thing on this last one. Once you are inside the Netflix folder, so just double click on the next folder and right click anywhere over here, then click open with code. It's going to open Visual Studio Code. So now Visual Studio Code is open. So before we get started with anything, I would like to show you guys 2 extensions that I really recommend you guys to install so they can make your development more smooth. So just click on this button, which is the extension button. So just click on that. So just search for live server. So that's the first extension you're gonna install. So just type live server. Then this is the extension that we're gonna install, but I've already installed it, as you can see. So you'll see a button that's reading install like this. So just click on that and it's going to install the extension on your Visual Studio Code. And this live server is used to make your development much easier, because if you're using HTML and you want to see the changes that you've made on your code in the browser, you're gonna need to refresh the page every time. But with live server, it's automatically going to refresh the page once you save that specific HTML file. So the second extension you're gonna install is called Prettier. So just type Prettier. Then this is the extension. I've already installed it. So it's called Prettier /code formatter. So just click on the install button. Once it shows up here, then you'll be on track. So now we have to create a HTML file. That's the first thing we're gonna do to get started. So just click on this button, click on that, and name the file index.html. Then press enter. Then it's going to open the file automatically for you. So once the HTML file is open, we are inside the HTML file. What we're gonna need to do is a few things. Well, just copy everything that I do, but I will explain everything. So just type a less than symbol, then doc type with uppercase, doc type, then space, then HTML, then close it with a greater than symbol, but remove everything that's on the other side, because if you're using Visual Studio Code, it will take this as an element, so it's going to automatically give you this other part. So just delete that. So actually just right after the less than symbol, type an exclamation mark. So this whole thing here just tells the browser that we are using HTML5. If you don't enter this, it may confuse your HTML code and not assume that you're using HTML5. So this will actually be a good practice to tell the browser that you're using HTML5. And because HTML5 has other things and other elements that have been introduced, So if you just type this, it will tell the browser that you're using HTML5. The second thing you're gonna need to do is to press enter at the end. Then we're going to type a less than symbol, then HTML, then a greater than symbol. Is automatically going to give you this other part, which is called a closing tag. The first part is called an opening tag. So just between the greater than symbol and the less than symbol, just click enter and it's going to take you to the other line. So now that we got that done, what we're gonna need to enter now is a head element. So just type a less than symbol, head, then a greater than symbol, then press enter again. So in the head element, everything that's inside here will provide the browser with information about that specific page. So now that we got that done, the element that we're gonna use to give the browser like the name of the page is called the title. So just type, you don't need to do a less than symbol and type title anymore. If you're using Visual Studio Code, just type title and press enter and it's automatically going to write everything for you. So just inside the element, just type the name of the page. So we're going to need to name this Netflix landing page, then save the page. So now the extension that we've installed is going to come in handy. Right click anywhere on this HTML file, so just click on open with live server. So now it has created a server for us and the page will be opened on a new tab, and every time you make changes on the HTML file, it will automatically refresh the page. We don't need to do that manually. So now as you can see, we have the name of the page which is up here, which is called Netflix landing page. So that's what we've given inside the title element. So now we can go after the head tag. So just below the head, this last head tag, which is the closing head tag, just type body. So now we have body. So let me just do space so I can see the difference. So we have the head tag, then we have the body. So now everything will be inside the body. So everything that you see over here, so everything that looks nice, everything that you're looking at right now inside the browser is inside the body tag. So all our code, or the important code that the user will see, will be inside the body tag. So now we have different things that can be included in this body element. So as you can see over here, we have a heading. Over here we have an image. So this is an image, the logo for Netflix. We have a link, we have an input text box, we have a button, we have this paragraph, we have images. As you can see, we have text. So just going to focus on the headings. So we have different headings in HTML. So we have 6 levels of headings. So the first one is called heading 1. We have heading 2 up to heading 6. Let me show you the difference. So we have heading 1. So just type, we don't need to type heading 1 like this, that won't work. So just type H1, that represents heading 1, then press enter. Then inside here I'm going to name this heading 1. So this is heading 1. Let me refresh, let me save the page, then I'll open our page. So as you can see, this is heading 1. It's exactly what's here. The only difference is they're using the different font, which I'll show you in CSS how to do that. So we have heading 1, which is this. Then we also have heading 2 up to heading 6. So to show the difference, so in order to copy this whole line and paste it on the other line, you don't need to do that manually by pressing Ctrl and C, then going to pressing enter, then pasting this, then doing this like this and multiple times. That will really take time. So we have a shortcut in Visual Studio Code to do this. Just press Shift, then press Alt, then press the arrow button down or up if you want to go up. So we'll go down, so we'll just press the down arrow and multiple times. So we'll just press it 5 times, 1 2 3 4 5. Then it's going to copy this line of code to other lines of code. So now if you want to change, this, because now we want to say H2, then go over here and change this to H2, then do the same thing and say h3. Instead of doing that, it might take time, so we have another shortcut in Visual Studio Code. So just double click on the text or the characters that you want to change. So double click on h1. Then to select another set of characters that have the same characters as this characters that we've selected, just press Ctrl D and it's going to select those next characters. So we're going to replace this with h3 rather. Then we'll do the same on the other lines of code. Then we'll save the file. So we have these headings, as you can see. Heading 1, the difference between the headings is heading 1 has a large font. Heading 2 is the second heading, which has a large font as well, but not as large as the first heading. So as you can see, the difference is the font size. So those are the headings. So now we're going to focus on the paragraphs, which is this text right here. So we have a paragraph in your HTML file. You don't need to explicitly type paragraph like so. So you just need to type a P that represents a paragraph in HTML. So press enter, then we'll say paragraph, so you can see the difference between a paragraph and a heading. So I'll go to the browser, go to our page. So the paragraph and the heading, the difference is that a heading has a large font and also it is also bolded, but a paragraph is not bolded, as you can see, and it has more font. So another thing that we're going to focus on is the input. So this text, which is written email, this text box is called an input in HTML. So we're going to focus on that. So to create an input, let me just leave heading 1 so that I can show you the difference. So to create an input, just type input, then press enter. So you might notice the difference here. So with the headings, the paragraphs, and other tags, they need to end with a closing tag. So everything that you need to type that will show to the user will be inside that opening tag and a closing tag. But with an input, as you can see, we don't have a closing tag like this. We don't need to type this last part. Just delete that. So we're just going to save the file. So as you can see, this is the input, but as you can see, there's something in here. So it says email address. So that's called a placeholder. It's an attribute. So we have this attribute called type. It can have an input element, can have type of text. It can have type of radio. You can search all the other types that are available for the input. So we can have an attribute called placeholder, then an equal sign, then double quotes. So inside this double quotes, just type anything you want to tell the user to enter to tell them what that input is for. So because we're creating the same thing as Netflix, we're going to type email address. So save the file and wait for it to refresh. So this is what's going to show up for the user so that they know what this input is for. So they're going to type the email address in here, but if there's nothing in here, it's going to go back to the placeholder. So that's it for the input. We have a button, which is this red box, which is written get started inside. So to have a button, it actually follows the same structure as the other elements that have a closing tag. So just type button, then press enter. Then as you can see, it has a closing tag. So just between here, this will be the text that will show to the user. So just type get started, then save the file. So let's go to our page. So this is the button that we have. By default, as you can see, it doesn't really look good, but using CSS will make this look like exactly like what is here. So that's a button. It can have different attributes as well. We have an attribute of type like that an input has. So inside the double quotes, you can say this is it's a submit button. So if this button is inside a form, it can have a type of submit, then it's automatically going to submit that form. So Now that's a button. So we have images, so you can see the image in the background on this Netflix landing page. So to have an image, it follows the same structure as the input. It does not have a closing tag. So just need to type img. Don't need to type image like this. Just type img, then press enter. As you can see, it does not have a closing tag. So you have different attributes that are necessary for the image to load in the browser. So this other one is this other one is not really that necessary, but the source is very important, because right now if I save the file and go to the browser, as you can see, nothing really shows up here. But if we enter something, we need to enter something here so that the image that we want can show in the page. So for that to happen, you need to select this. We need to go inside this image folder, then select the net banner, which is exactly this image right here, this big image. So to select that, we can't really go on this image and drag it over here. That will not work. So for us to select that specific image, we need to go to this folder, the image folder. So to go to that folder, because as you can see, the image folder, the img folder, and the HTML file are in the same folder called Netflix. So if something that you want to select is inside the same folder, what you need to do is to type a dot, then a /. So as you can see, this will show, if you're using Visual Studio Code, it will show you all the folders and the files that are available inside the Netflix folder. So we have the image folder and we have the index.html file. So once you type /, it means we are selecting everything that's inside the Netflix folder. Then we just type img, which is the folder we're going to go into, then a /, then we're going to type the name of the file that we want to select. So now if I save the file and wait for the page to refresh, so as you can see, now our image is showing in the browser. But we have this other attribute which is called art. So inside this art, we just need to type the text that will show if the image is unable to load. So if an image doesn't show up to the user, let's say for example, if they don't have a strong internet connection, so anything that you type in here will show instead of that image showing. So we'll just say this is a banner. So save the file. So just as you can see, our image is showing, so it won't really consider this won't be seen by the user. But if the image is unable to load, the user will see this text instead. So that's it for the image. So if I go down to the footer of the page, we have these links. So these are links. Once you click on a link, it's going to take you either to another tab and take you to another page, or they're going to refresh the page and take you to that page. So we have to create a link in HTML. We just need to type, you don't need to say link. That will confuse the link element that we have, which is used to link your HTML file with your CSS file. So instead we have an anchor tag which is used as a link. So you don't need to type anchor like this. That will not work. Just type an A, then press enter. This is a link right here. So as you can see, it comes with a very important attribute which is called href. So just inside this link, we'll type this is a link. Then we'll save the file. Then we'll go to we'll wait for the page to refresh. Then as you can see, this is the link that I was talking about. As you can see, it has an underlined style. So if you put your mouse on top of the link, it changes the icon of the cursor. So that's a link. If I click on this link, it just refreshes the page, which is not something that we want. We need to have a link that will take us to another page, right? So to do that, you need to specify where you want to take the user inside this href attribute. So we can say https www.youtube.com, then save the file. Then we'll tell the user that this is for YouTube, then save the file. So now, as you can see, let's wait for it to refresh. So now if I click on this link, it won't just take us back to this same page, it will actually take us to youtube.com. So let's wait for it to go there. As you can see here, it has changed the address. As you can see, it has taken us to YouTube. So what you enter in here is the place where you want to take the user. So that's all we need to really know right now to be able to create the landing page. There are a bunch of other tags like divs. So a div is just a box. So let me actually remove this link. I think it's necessary for me to show you what a div is. So if I create a div and save the file and go to the browser and go to our page, as you can see, the page is still empty. There's nothing in here. That's because a div is just a box, but it's invisible. It doesn't really do anything. It won't be visible to the user. So you can type anything inside a div, then it's going to show as if it's a paragraph. So as you can see, it will work as if it's a paragraph, but really it's just a box that is invisible to the user. Doesn't really have any use, but can be useful using CSS, and actually can be useful using HTML as well to divide your pages. So the div stands for divider. It divides different sections on your page. So to give an example for this, so this whole thing here is a div on its own. So div is used to divide everything on your page so that everything can look very well structured and very well laid out. So as you can see on the landing page, we have this first part. Let me just draw to show what I'm talking about. So we have this first part over here. So that's what we're going to focus on. So to do that, we're just going to go to our HTML file, and we're gonna have a div actually. So inside this div, so this div will represent everything that I just drew. So inside this div, we're gonna have another div. So this won't show anything in the browser. If I save the file, like I said, the div won't really show anything. So as you can see, the page is empty. So we're gonna have another div. So this first div represents everything that I just drew, like that big box. Then this div will represent this part right here. So this part, it will represent this part. So that's the second div that we have. Then we're gonna have another div. So this other div will represent this part. So just the part below the one that I just drew before. So it will represent this part over here. So just inside this first div, inside this main div, we're gonna have another div. I know this might be confusing, but I'll be drawing everything to show why this is necessary. So we're gonna have another div here. So let me actually take this. Let me format everything so that it can look nice. So we have the main div, which is the first thing that I just drew, which is this main part, everything that's here. Then we have this div, which is closest over here, which is this top part over here, which is everything from here. Then I drew another div, which is this one. So that represents this part over here. So this part. So the reason we have another div inside this main div, which is inside this other div, is because we want to, as you can see, there's a space here. As you can see, there's a space here, and there's actually another space here, as you can see. So to be able to put everything starting from this part to this part and exclude everything that's over here. So we want to exclude this part and this part. So we need to have two divs, as you can see. So the first div will be this purple colored background will be a first div. So it will be everything over here. It will be the main div. Then this white one, then the Netflix logo and this sign in link will be inside another div, which is this white thing over here. So as you can see, the main div is the purple one because it covers everything, but the white one is just starts over here where Netflix link starts, where the Netflix logo starts, and ends where the sign in link starts. So to create comments, you just type a less than symbol and a less than symbol, then an exclamation mark, then dash dash, then actually let me remove this. So it's a less than symbol, then an exclamation mark, then dash dash, then another dash dash, then a closing tag or a closing or close it with a greater than symbol. So just between this double dash dash, so just in the middle, you can type anything. You can type anything you need, but that won't show in the browser. It is a comment to help you and help other developers understand your logic in your code, but it won't show the user what you actually write in there. So if I load the page, as you can see, nothing really shows up. So now we're going to say this is the banner. So this whole part will represent that banner. Then this will be the nav bar, which is this top part, the Netflix logo and the sign-in link. Then this other one will be for intro and the form. The form represents this whole thing, like the text box and this button, and the intro will be everything, the text over there. So we just need to know where those things are at. So now inside this div, we're just going to type Netflix because we don't have the Netflix logo. So we'll type Netflix. Actually, before this, we can put this in a paragraph so we can divide things very well. So we'll type Netflix. So this Netflix will represent this Netflix over here, but we don't have the actual logo, so we're just typing the text. Then we're gonna have a link, so we're gonna have an anchor tag and say it's going to take us to the sign-in page. Say let me just copy this link, so I'll click on the sign-in button and click copy. We need to copy link, then we're going to paste that over here. So that's where it's going to take the user. So now if I open the browser, we're gonna see this Netflix paragraph and this link which says sign in. So it represents this sign in button, or this sign in link rather. So now what we need to work on is this part over here, which has the text and this form. So for that, inside here we're gonna have h1. Then we're just going to copy this text, so this big text, and paste it inside the h1. Paste it over there. Then we're gonna go down and have h2, heading 2. Then this will be this text over here, so just copy that and paste it over here. Then we're gonna have a paragraph that will be this small text over here. Then I'm gonna paste that just inside here. Then after that, we're gonna have a form, which is this text box and this button. As you can see, they're side by side. So we're gonna have a form, and this form will have an attribute of action. That action will be executed once a user clicks this get started button. So the user's email will be sent to the server, but we don't actually have a server up to get information from this form, but we can just demonstrate. So just say email, just call this email. So in the server we'll have a route, or yes, we're gonna have a route that will be able to deal with anything that comes from this text over here, which is / email. Then it will take the information that's inside this form, and that will be from that specific input box. So inside this form we're gonna have an input of type text, and it's gonna have a placeholder, which is email, which is the text email address. Then after this input, we're gonna have a button which is of type submit. So this will be a submit button, so it will automatically give it the type of submit. Then inside this button it says get started, so type get started. Then we're gonna save this, and this should be it for the first part. So this will represent everything that's at the top here. So now if you look at the page, this is what we have. So this is what shows up on the page. As you can see, it doesn't really look nice because we haven't really focused on CSS yet. So now we're going to focus on this other part. So as you can see, we have two divs, which is this green drawing and this blue drawing. So now we're going to focus on that. So we're gonna need two divs for that. So just inside this main div, which is the first div that we have, if you can select it, it will select the other div that corresponds with this div. So just click on it once and it's going to correspond with this closing tag. So just inside here we're gonna have another div, then inside this div we're gonna have another div. So we can write a comment that, so this will be the two divs that we need right now to be able to execute that. So now we're going to focus on this other part. So as you can see, they're exactly the same as this first part. So we just need to copy everything that we have over here to this part because they're exactly the same. So just copy these two divs to the lines of code below. So I'm just going to copy everything over here and paste it below. So this is the fourth section. Then we also have the fifth section, I believe. So the fifth section will be this one ending with kids. So now enter things so that it can actually have information over here, because right now we just have divs and divs don't really show anything in the browser. So we need to have something inside those divs so that they can be able, so that the user can be able to see what's on that page. So we're gonna go to this second section. So we're gonna have a div, and this div will be for the text, and this other div will be for the, actually here we don't really need a div, but we can create a div, and this will be for the image. So we're gonna have another div for the image. So just go on this div for the text and paste everything that we just did, save it, and let's open this in the browser. So now as you can see, this is how it's going to show, because we don't really have any styles on this page. So now we're going to focus on the third section, but before doing that we need to actually display those images, because right now we don't really have any image here. So we're going to go to this first part. So we're going to go to this first section and actually display that image, but we can actually do that using CSS. So we're actually going to display this image using CSS instead of using HTML. So we're just going to focus on this second section and make sure the image is there. So we're gonna have an image inside this div, so img, then the source, we just type a dot / then go inside the image folder. Then we're gonna need the phone, or the TV rather, so net dash TV, which is the image for this part, this TV right here. Now just save the page. We don't really need to enter anything inside the out attribute, so just press save. Then let's wait for a page to reload. So now we have this TV. As you can see, it's really big because we don't really have CSS going on to be able to resize it so that it can look like this. So we're gonna do that later. So now we're going to focus on the third section. So I'm just going to copy everything that's over here. Then I'll paste it, I'll replace it with this part. So I'm just going to change enjoy on your TV with the text that's on the third section, which is this part. So just copy this and paste it inside the H2. Then for the paragraph, just copy this text and paste it inside the paragraph. Then for the image, just change this. As you can see, the image is different from this one, so it's a cell phone. So now this is the phone, yes, loaded. So this is the image. As you can see, it's large, but we can be able to deal with it using CSS. So now we're going to focus on the fourth section, which is this part. It doesn't really have an image unlike the other ones, so we're just going to copy everything over here, then paste it on the fourth section. Then remove this image part because it doesn't really have an image. Then save the file, but we need to actually copy the text that's over here, so we're just going to copy this and paste it inside the H2 element. Then copy this part and put it inside the paragraph element. Save the file. Let's go and view out the changes. So this is the text. So we have the fifth section, which is this part. So we just need to copy everything that's over here at the top because it has an image. So copy that. Then below here, we're going to replace everything with this, with everything that's here. So now we're going to replace the H2 text with the text that's over there. So just replace everything, then copy this paragraph and put it over here. Alright, so now we are done with the fifth section. So we're just going to focus on this last part, which is the footer. So we're going to focus on that. So just go below here and we'll say this is the footer, and we actually have an element for the footer itself. So just type footer and press enter, then it's going to give you the element for the footer, which is this part over here. So the footer is nothing different from the div. It actually does the same thing, but it'll be nice for you to have elements like this to show the browser that this represents a footer, but it actually works the same way as a div. So now if I save the file and go over here to our page, if I go down below, as you can see, the footer doesn't really do anything. So that would be for the first div. Then we have the second div, which starts from help center. So just copy this help center link. Then we're gonna have links over here. We're not really gonna have a paragraph, so we're gonna have a link with the text help center. Then to make things a bit quicker, we won't really copy everything, so it'll be jobs privacy. Then we'll focus on the fourth div, which starts from account. So we just have two links, so it'll be account and legal notices. So let me just copy this link, and inside this div we have account, then copy this to the line of code below. Then we have legal notices. Then on this fourth div we're gonna have this media center and ways to watch. So this is what we have right now. So let's just reload the page, wait for the page to load. So these are the section, this is the footer over here. So now we are done. We can focus on CSS right now. Everything has been inserted inside the HTML file. We just need to link our HTML file with the CSS file and focus on CSS.